Hey everyone, and welcome to AI Made Simple podcast. My name is Christian Vivas. I am an entrepreneur in the media industry. I've been working in the media industry for about 15 years now. Super excited to be in this podcast. I think it's been a long time coming. It's been a long conversation between everybody that you guys see now on your screen. And I just want to open up the floor for the rest of the team. Dr. Lee, if you can please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chris. It's great to be here and share my passion with AI with all of you guys here. Just a little bit about me. I'm a local college professor out here in South Florida. I've exited a blockchain company and an AI company. So I am now on the education side. So trying to share my passion and enthusiasm and trying to have several more startups and so that we can see some more folks exit.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Lee, for being here. And we are so honored to have you also and your knowledge in this podcast. Connor, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Connor Johnson. I am the Chatbot King. Okay. I love chatbots. That's what I'm here to talk
Yes.
about. I live, breathe, and die on the chatbot. So we'll hear more about that. Did AI for the world's largest REIT and into our entrepreneurship as well. So let's do it.
Beautiful, man. Yes, we have the king here, the Chatbot King. All right, Matty, what about you to introduce yourself, please?
What's going on, guys? I'm Matty, living down in Miami now. I was started my career in the Air Force Special Operations, jumping out of planes, blowing things up, and we were using all sorts of advanced technologies. And unfortunately, I got pretty hurt, so I didn't get to continue on my career there. And I was like, what do I do after this? I opened a skydiving business. Fastest way to make $1 million in skydiving started with 2 million. It didn't work out so well for me, but while I was doing that, I started in the tech industry looking at marketing for my skydiving business. I was putting these paper rack cards in all these hotels and high traffic areas, and I was like, man, this is really stupid. Why do I have to drive to every hotel? It doesn't make any sense. So I was like, why don't I just put a kiosk in all these hotels and I can start advertising for my skydiving? I started talking to some of my friends who were like, oh, this is a really cool idea. Why don't you put my brand on there? I was like, maybe I can put it in more hotels now. And so we ended up doing that. And the thing that I found from there was the behavioral analytics and the data were more valuable than the ads that were being displayed on the kiosks. So we ended up taking that company, we scaled that up, and then I transitioned that into a much bigger data analytics, turned into an AI company called SITch AI, Situational Awareness Artificial Intelligence. And we started doing some advanced tech stuff for the military. Long story longer, I have been in the AI business for well over 15 years, and I love it. And now I'm on my quest for my PhD in this space. So yeah, definitely thank you guys all for having us. And I wanted to move us on to what is the reason for us to be here today. And that's going to be AI automation. Since we have the Chatbot King himself,
Chatbot
he can
King.
tell us a little bit more. But let me hand it back to you, Chris, to bring us into it.
Yeah, every time that I'm talking about AI to anyone, a lot of people mention automations. I think that's something that's just being tied to AI now. I know automations have been something that has been happening for a while, but a lot of people now just put AI and automations in that same bucket. And the reason why we wanted to add this segment was to be able to, number one, explain what it is so that people truly understand what it is and what a workflow is, different things that involve automations. What about Connor? What about if you take us off in maybe your way of explaining automations, and when you're talking to your clients, when you're talking to businesses, how is it that you bring that approach?
So automation is where I started. I got out of the Army and man, I didn't use any computers in the Army at all. To be honest, I didn't do any of that. Nothing really worked. It was all just a red lens flashlight and a pen and paper and that's it, right? A crumpled map, that's what we had. And I got out and I was in sort of corporate America and digging around on the computer, like I realized like most people are using less than 1% of the capability of this machine that they have. And we run into some really dumb problems. Oh man, I want to get all of this information into a spreadsheet, but there's no way to mash them together. And so that's where I kicked off with automation, old school Microsoft Power Automate, which is not even code. It's like low code and it was horrible to use. I think it's a little bit better now. But just taking that and saying, okay, when you receive a document, you're going to look through it and you're going to take this data out and put it over here into this other data and then just send me an email when it's done. And that's how I got started. And somehow I got hooked, even though it was not a very friendly user experience. But that's automation. And now that we have AI, it's completely changed the game in a way that a lot of people just don't understand. And I think since here on the podcast, everybody's an expert, but what you don't know is that you've been able to unlock this capability with automation using AI. So for example, it's really hard to get the data to go from one place to another if it's not structured in this like perfectly structured way. It's not super clean, as they say. And so you can use AI to parse that and reformat it and make it structured so that you can actually solve the problem that you wanted to solve. And so that's actually what got me into AI in the first place. Is I really wanted to do a task and I forgot what the task was, but I wanted to do it and I couldn't because it wasn't perfect enough. And then finally, like ChatGPT started getting bigger, and so that's where my journey started. Oh, I can use this. I can hook up to AI here and have it clean up all the information and then get it to where I need it to go. And so at the very basic level, that's like the AI automation, right? A step of the AI in the workflow, in the automation, then all of a sudden it's this new thing. And that's where AI and automation comes to me. How about you guys?
I would
Where'd you guys
only
get
add
started?
one small thing to that. I can't explain the automation part any better, but I would say for the AI piece of that, the biggest thing that's happened in the last few years, it started way back in like 2017. Nobody even noticed it, where Google put out a research paper. It was called "Attention is All That You Need," and it people slept on it. But what that paper was all about, it was about the first time ever in human history that we can have a machine that could simulate our short-term thinking. So you think about all of the automation opportunities that we have out there right now, like Connor was just mentioning. And you think about, what are we automating, right? We're automating our business processes. And then you take on that superpower where you have a machine now that can replicate short-term memory in humans in a machine, and you add that to the automation process, and now you have basically an archery set with dynamite for the arrows at the end. So just think of all of the use cases that we have out here, all the opportunities that existed to automate before, and now we can introduce into that automation process the ability to have actual short-term thinking involved as part of those automation steps there. That's been the real kind of killer use cases for this.
Yeah, and yesterday
And
we
I
were having a little
definitely,
bit of a conversation also, like bringing all of this around. And Matty, you mentioned something to me yesterday, and it stood out to me so much that these automations, these things are giving you back time. Please explain a little bit of what that is and follow that, because for some reason that's stuck in my head so much.
yeah, and I love to think about, all right, so everybody hears about AI and automation and like, where do you start? And I go back into what was the first thing I wanted to automate in my life? And it went back to dishes. I don't like doing the dishes. I don't like cleaning the house. So I paid somebody. And they automated that process for me with human manual labor. But it was something that I didn't have to do. And it gave me back all this time. So any time that you can find something to automate in your life that will give you back that time, now you can put that time into something else to help you make some more money. Or you can do something else with your family, right? And really that's where we see this capability is you have this huge marketing team. Do they really need to have a huge marketing team? Or is that marketing team going to be augmented and they're going to make more money for you? And I really love thinking about it that way is everybody's like, where do we get into this sport? The sport of adding AI and optimization, whatever else you want to do with these buzzwords today. Everybody's been using ChatGPT. I know it's been helping people work on their homework, on their business reports, answering their emails, right? You got more time back. It's just
I love
And the
that.
timepiece, I think, is huge in a lot of different ways. Like instead of just, hey, here's this task, it takes me a certain amount of time. Can I make it shorter? There's a potential to completely unlock new things that you can do. Here's an example. I'm doing a project right now, migrating 860,000 documents from one old school legacy folder tree system into a new document library, so in a more structured way so you can find them all, right? Everybody's had this messy project folder or some folder where there's empty folders in there and all that stuff. Now you can actually have a workflow or with AI automation in there, read all these documents and then put them in the right place where they need to go. Imagine telling somebody they had to go do that. How long would that take? There's an example project, I think, where we scoped it out a couple of years prior where they were reading like leases. It took them 2 years and they had 17 people working on it. And all they were doing, think about your life. Like the fact that you're spending your time doing something where you're literally looking at a document and moving it from one place to another. Like that's not a valuable use of like human resource. And so now you can unlock this potential that you were not able to do before completely.
And here's a recent case too to kind of add to that. Johnson recently split. When they split, they had billions of documents that they didn't know which company, does it go with the existing company or to the new company. And initially they had rooms full of high-priced lawyers in there trying to separate out the documents until they realized, hey, let's just automate this entire process with some AI. And so at scale, they were able to go through a project that was supposed to be 2 years, ended up being a 3-month project, and you can split billions of documents, saving tons and tons of money to do that. Matty mentioned how you like to think about this. I like to think of the shovel and the bulldozer. They both have one job, right? Just to move dirt, right? If you think of the bulldozer as the automation. In both cases, they save us time, right? The shovel is going to save us time. The automation is going to save us even more time, i.e. the bulldozer.
And one thing that I definitely want to mention, and wow, thank you so much for all your points. It's blowing my mind right now. And us having this conversation is amazing. It's that this is not only for people, let's say, that are advancing coding or that are developers. There's no code tools out there that allow you to do that. This weekend, actually on Saturday, I'm having an AI clinic and I'm teaching a little bit of how to create a workflow in Zapier. And I remember I've used Zapier and I opened up Zapier the other day with the same email that I've had for the longest time. And the first time that I ever used it was in 2019. So 2019 was my first SAP. And I remember just using it to create some automations for a booking platform that I was trying to do. And now to see the capabilities that it has today with now including OpenAI, you can use Gemini, you can use different things in there to augment those workflows. It's something else.
Everybody
Obviously
remembers
before it
their
was something,
first
right?
snap. You have to remember your first snap, guys.
Yeah,
And I'm glad
definitely.
you brought that up. I am a low or no code absolute fiend. I love that stuff for a couple of reasons. One, if you want to make money doing AI automation, you're going to have to show what you're doing because it is like a weird concept, right? Everybody has different levels of understanding of AI and what that is. What am I getting when I pay you to come in and help my business? And so what I love about those no or low code tools is they've got this visual interface that's very relatable. Hey, here's your nodes. Like it's going, here's your document moving from here to here. And here's where AI is doing this. And so when you walk through a client through this process, like they get it. They're like, okay, I see what you're doing. And this is tangible. This is all it is. If you send them a giant code base, one, don't ever do that. Yeah, it's not what you want to do at all. And it really helps do it. I would say with AI, now it's getting quicker and quicker to do just the pure code, but it's still pretty fast to go ahead and do the low or no code as well. And you can show it to them. So that's the big advantage there.
We've been talking about automation, but we're not talking about yesterday's automation, are we? We're talking about today's automation, right? So one of the huge statistics that even 1 year ago, the IQ level of AI was 96. All right, that's your average person, right? Now the IQ today is at 136. That's a 40-point jump. So imagine if you could employ somebody that had a 136 IQ, you'd be doing pretty well. Connor, can you tell us a little bit about how you've seen the evolution of the automation in the chatbots with the higher IQ and ability to actually now sound human?
I was waiting for this moment. Chatbots, chatbots are back. Chatbots are back, everybody. It's here. They're back. And way back, you would talk to a chatbot, you would immediately know, okay, this is a chatbot. Like, all right, just get me through to a human. Get me through to a human as fast as possible. It's completely different now. In fact, there's so many times where people do not know they're talking to chatbots. I would imagine in your daily life when you're calling your doctor, you're calling a grocery store, all this stuff, it's all going to be replaced soon. Like this other day, because I work with AI so much and I know what these voice AI agents can do and all these other things, I was getting something scheduled at the dentist. And I was so sure, I'm like, oh, this is a really good AI model. Like, this is pretty good. And then I show up and no, it was not AI. It was actually a person there. They were just polite. That's all it was. They were just an actual polite person, a receptionist. And I was like, wow, my brain is poisoned now because I know it's possible. And yeah, I think a lot of people got their start with AI in chatbots, ChatGPT. I'm having this interaction between chatbot and the information I'm looking to get. And you can see how good it's getting. So with this, I know we are building chatbots for business again. Okay. This is not, okay, let's do a quick rigid form. Let's do this. Let's do a very rigid workflow. Have a bunch of people offshore answering the phones. Now AI is filling in for these positions. And I'd like to show roughly how we're doing that. So let me pop my screen here. What I do with the chatbots is you have a funnel, and I work primarily top of funnel through the sales process. And what that means is there's some sort of marketing that happens here. In fact, you're going to have ads or content like we're doing now, podcast, right? But if you're doing content, you're posting on social media, you're paying for Facebook, Instagram ads, even if you're running Google ads and running them to your site, what are they going to do? Are they going to interact with you in some way? They're going to click your ad, and then what? They're going to send a message, say, hey, what's your business about? Or you're going to send them a message. What is your opening line to them? That's super important. What is the thing that you're going to say? Hey, what are you dealing with? And then after that opening line, this is where AI lives. That's the chatbot now. The chatbot is taking them from a just general sort of interested party to all the way to setting an appointment and even closing a sale now. So all the way through the purchase. And what's great about this is they never get tired. They never get bored of the customer. They can take the requests at 3 a.m. They can be consistent with their response. They follow a sales script better than humans do. I think that's super important. And then you can do some pretty amazing workflows as well. So what I'm showing here is, I'm scrolling in. There we go. Yeah, so here we have a basic chatbot workflow, and a user is going to come in. They're going to get tagged with some sort of information. Are they coming in through your paid content? Are they coming in through your organic free content? You're going to send them an opening line. You're also going to comment back to them, because if they comment on your post, you can do that. And then you have this little black box here, purposefully black box of an AI, where it's coming in and it's handling this conversation for you. All the while, it's collecting all the information, tagging them in the way that they need to be separated and organized. And then you can send them like your lead magnet, a lead magnet being like, hey, here's a PDF of the tips and tricks for my specific business, so that you get their email. And then they can opt in to some sort of email marketing campaign, and you can remarket and nurture for as long as you want. And then you send them somewhere like a landing page, for example, a video sales letter, and then they'll come in and they'll book or they'll buy. So a lot of different ways to do it. And another visual here, sometimes you've got your outreach. You can do outbound as well. I won't get into that too much because I'm still pretty excited about it, but we got paid content, organic content, they'll engage, and we can track this data everywhere as well. And so, yeah, with that, we have our funnel here, which I think is great. So very similar to the funnel I was showing earlier, except now we have the ability to track the percentages of where are they falling off at any given point in the sequence and why. So imagine like you are a sales rep here, and you are in charge of managing, 5,000 new conversations a week. Like, that alone, are you going to be recording all this information? Are you going to record every single thing that they objected to? Did they have a price objection? Was it more of a process objection? Are they qualified for the service? These are things that people are trying to do with a very rigid campaign, but that's the wrong way to do it. You're just sending them to a form, and you're losing a lot of people along the way. So we can track and say, hey, is it the marketing that's not getting you what you need? Is it the opening line? Is it the bot itself? Is it the closing line, the landing page? Is it the sales call? We're pixeling them throughout the entire process. And so not only are these chatbots so good at converting it, they're scary good at this point, and they can handle conversations at scale. So really the bottleneck is no longer, can I hire a sales team? Or it's just how much money can you pump into your marketing? That's what it is. How much money and time can you get in there? Yeah.
Tony, I've got a question.
Yep.
If I have a chatbot, where do I put it? I can't just put it in my living room.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a good point here. One thing, there are platforms out there that allow you to connect to social media, right? And so that's what I do. I build out these chatbots that connect to Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and in some cases YouTube, but it really the social media is where you can have them. I'm connecting through something called ManyChat, where there's a safe way to do it. Your account's not going to get banned or anything. It throttles any sort of extra usage or something that might flag the system. But this is where you house it, and then in your direct messages is where it happens. So imagine you have a post and say, hey, comment this for my lead mag, my PDF, my morning routine PDF, and they comment on it. Your bot is gonna comment back and then send them a message, say, hey, if you want the morning routine, just go ahead and say yes so we can send it to you. And they say yes, and you say, awesome, thanks for joining. Thank you. If you're interested in our content here, just want to ask you a couple questions, and you follow them through a bunch of easy softball questions, get them qualified, and then you appropriately send them the booking link. That's the goal. And so I think what a lot of people are doing wrong is they're sending them the link way too early. And so if you're ever on social media, I think everybody is at this point, people really trust social media. You'll see there is a bunch of folks out there trying to do this, and they're sending the link way too early to their products. And you can imagine if your customer is on social media, they're just relaxing, scrolling on their couch, and they don't want to be thrown into a busy store that they've never seen before. They don't want to click a link and go off platform. And so what you're going to do instead is if you can convert them on platform, on social media, the same Instagram where they're already at, and do most of the selling up front, you're going to see a much higher return. And so what people are trying to do is they're going to send the first line and then make them fill out a form. Like you're doing work now to get what you wanted. That's not what you want your customers to be doing. You want this to be a natural conversation. And there's a form, and instead what we want them to do is what we're going to do is have a real conversation. You're going to send your first line, you're going to tag them for where they need to be, and then you're going to subscribe them to a follow-up sequence in case they ever fall off. And then also you're going to ask them a couple questions. These are softball questions, placement questions. Hey, what are your goals? What have you tried to do so far? Awesome. And then you're going to give them a diagnosis. This is just a classic sales script, really, but this chatbot is flexible. It'll never fail, and you can collect a lot of this information along the way. And this is all happening in your social media direct messages. So these are things where you're not handling it, a human's not handling it, and you can do it at scale, like 20,000 messages a day. And you collect some crazy analytics here. It's wild.
Dr. Lee, can you imagine the data exhaust that's coming off of this? Just the people just talking to the chatbot. What could you imagine doing with that?
As I'm listening to Connor, I can tell you the first thing that popped into my mind is I'm sure the exact same thing that you're alluding to. Connor, I'm gonna throw the academic side on here. As I hear you talking, when I look at the chatbot, all I can think of is the theory of mind. You know how when you're talking to somebody and they nod their head a little bit, and you kind of in your mind, okay, they understand what I'm talking about because they're nodding their head when you talk to them. That's the theory of mind in action. And when you said in the beginning, this is not your grandmother's chatbot, right? This is a whole new level of chatbot right here. The magic in that funnel, when we talk about the AI, is the theory of mind in action. And a bunch of the eggheads, the researchers went in, started looking at these GPTs and started testing to say, hey, let's do a theory of mind test on these GPTs to see how well they can model the thoughts of other people. That's the magic. That's the difference right there. That's why it feels so natural. Like when you said they want to have a natural conversation, it's because these new age GPTs, they have excelled in the theory of mind to the point where they're almost at a graduate student level now, so that it can understand so much deeper and respond, and so you feel like you can have such a deeper connection. You're the expert in this area. I can tell you back when I was in college, and we used to sit around and talk about ways that we can walk up and talk to girls, and the whole thing was, hey, we just need to have a connection. We just need to make sure that we can establish a connection, and then from there, then all bets are off after that. Exact same principle right there. But now you have in the funnel this AI that feels human, that can carry the conversation to move you forward. And this thing is just getting better and better. And it was, I think, GPT-4 They said it has the theory of mind test that it can pass greater than a graduate school student. But that's the engine. That's what's different in this context. What do you think, Matty?
Definitely. And understanding the customer and what they're asking for really helps model your product so it's facing the customer. So if you have a service-based business or you're get a product-based business, what is it that your customer is asking for? Are you downselling them? Are you upselling them? What are they looking for? So you are actually converting a higher level there.
Yeah, that downsell too. Just even add, I think most of the clients I work with don't even have a downsell. If you're building a list right now of all the people that you could sell to who are interested enough to have a conversation with you, and you are only converting a certain percentage of them, what are you doing with the rest of your list? Can they buy some? Are they ready to buy something else? Can you sell them a book? Can you sell them a newsletter? These are things that is super easy to add. And also the chatbot can determine, is this a price objection I can't overcome? And that's absolutely what we're doing. I have a lot of it in very simple sheets. And so if I'm going all the way over here,
That's a simple sheet right there, Connor,
yeah,
because what we're seeing is
so it's just a basic spreadsheet, I guess, in a way, but you can see like how much information is being collected here and put in a usable format. For the business owner, you can see how far in the stage they're getting qualified. Did they click the link? Did they click the package? Hey, I sent them a downsell offer. Did they do anything with that? Should I follow up? And so, yeah, maybe this massive spreadsheet just shows that no human is writing this information down. I'll tell you that. But beyond that, you can turn it into a sort of a useful graphic at the very least. And they didn't have this graphic before, but you can go from what is my total overall conversion rate? And if you've got a high ticket client, but you have a massive top of funnel, it's really hard to tell what's going on and where you're losing them. And for example, here, hey, I can tell what my conversion rates are, but I can get them to click the link, obviously, but when they click the link, they're dropping off. What's going on there? Before this, all they knew was how much they were spending in ads and how much money they were getting in return, like overall, but they didn't know what to optimize, you know? And so in a way, we can collect all this information, say every step along the way, hey, we're doing pretty good. If they respond, we can get them like they're qualified. We'll get them through the first couple of questions. And then at that point, we'll send them the link, and that's not too bad either. And if we send them the link, 93% of them are going to click the link. That's great, because that means our copy of that when we send the link isn't confusing. It's very clear. They want to click it at that point. And then, but beyond that, like when they click the link, are they clicking the actual booking option on the landing page? Okay, something's off with the landing page. Now we can go back and fix it. And so this is stuff that my chatbot is doing. And they didn't have that before. And that's just wild that you can do this now.
So on top of the engagement with the customer, it's also doing the analytics and optimization in real time.
Yes, it is. And there's a lot of other stuff that you can do as well. Not something we have currently deployed, but I'm pretty excited about it in the future. Is that first line, this opening copy. Right now, hey, it's pretty static. But guess what? We have information about who is clicking on the ads. If you're a human, you're a sales rep, you're a regular guy, and you get a message from somebody, I like to check their LinkedIn. Or who is this person? I check their Instagram. What are they up to? Oh, this is a real estate coach reaching out for whatever. Right now, my systems aren't using this, but we're about to deploy a system that does. Hey, it checks their page like a real person would and say, oh, hey, and then this opening copy could be highly customized. And then all of a sudden you can see this go up like dramatically, this percentage here.
So hold on, let me make sure I'm understanding this. The opening copy, and this is blowing my mind a little bit here. The opening copy, before we engage, we can go out and have a little bit of the backstory so that as we talk about empathy, connections, all that other stuff, we can have more contact. So when we initiate the conversation is contextual and relevant, increasing the odds of engagement. And did I understand that correctly, Connor?
You're on it. You're on it. I could tell you if they like to mountain bike. And that could be enough to get them to be like, okay, this is cool. And so, yeah, people are they're already unaware that they're talking to a chatbot. I can tell you for sure. Otherwise, the system would not have as many contacts running through it as you can see. But at that point, it's scary good. It's, oh, this thing knows me. And what's great about this, too, is it doesn't end here. It doesn't end here because All this information that we collect during this process can be used to help the fulfillment of the service. It can be used to make this entire process where they deliver what it is that they're actually doing. It can make that a very seamless experience, very custom, very personalized. Imagine you're a sales rep or you're a nurse practitioner or whoever it is delivering the actual service, and you have a big dossier on these people coming in. Hey, they like to do that. It improves your small talk, the little things that matter.
Connor, one of our clients likes to play golf, and
Yes.
he's trying to find more customers that play golf. So we're doing a deep scrape on understanding who the client is, who's the potential client for our client that plays golf, so they can build rapport super easily.
Yeah.
And that's when we're talking about the new age chatbots, right? Those chatbots that have tools that can go outside of the chat. I think a lot of people think about chatbots still as a very, what you input, answer, and maybe predetermined answers that were there already, right? Now we're talking about tools. Now we're talking about, hey, let me research you before to give you the best experience, not to try to trick you into anything, but to truly give you the best experience and the best flow of that chat. And one of the things that you mentioned, Connor, that really stood out to me is after those chats are over, usually that data was, okay, cool, we have that data. Now they're using it to continue the experience after that. In other products, in communicating with you consistently after, if you're still a customer. So that really was something that resonated with me. That was awesome, man. That was really, really cool.
It's very exciting to see what you can do. And I'm just going to show a quote that I have on my website here that I just had to put up there. I got permission for it as well, obviously. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but basically the chatbot's saying something up here, and then the customer is saying, real customer, didn't ask him to say it. Yes, please tell me, because this is the first time that I've actually felt heard. Yeah, that's real. And those are the types of responses that you're getting from this chatbot. You know, that the first time they ever felt heard was from a chatbot. I don't know. What does that tell you? It's kind of interesting to me.
The theory of mind in action right there, my friend, with the chat.
Yeah, they do. They're doing it better than I think a lot of people do. And there's just basic sales techniques at play here. Mirroring, for example, it does really well with mirroring because you're going through having this conversation. It'll mimic like the tone of voice that they're using. Are they casual? Are they super guarded? It goes with it.
That's great. That's an amazing example, really, because sometimes you do hear people talking on the phone with somebody and you're like, oh man, that person just has an attitude. I don't want to continue having this conversation. You know what? I'm going to stop. But the AI chatbot doesn't do that. It's trying to really help you. Right? It's trying to get you through that process as best as possible. That's amazing. And well, with that being said, I would love to take it up with you, Dr. Lee, and just to talk a little bit about those challenges and maybe those considerations of automation of chatbots. What are some of those things that you see, especially if you've been in the industry for a long time? What are those considerations that you see about automations in big companies or just using it as an individual?
There's been the biggest challenges that I've seen have when you implement these chatbots. There's several key factors if you're starting from scratch. And even if you're using no-code, low-code solutions, you have to make sure that a lot of the back-end infrastructure is kind of in place. So first, kind of maintaining the conversational accuracy and the relevance. That's essential because if you have a poorly designed bot, then it's going to frustrate your user. The example that Connor just gave a second ago where the person felt heard, that's an example of how to do it the right way. But if you don't train your bot the right way, if you don't have conversational accuracy, then you're just going to frustrate your users and you're going to do more harm to your customer relationships. The other kind of big one is data privacy and compliance. It has to be prioritized. I'm not sure if you've heard, but Air Canada didn't train their bot properly. They released it, and then their bot started giving out free flights. And then they went back and said, nope, we're not going to honor the free flights. And judges came back in and said, too late. Your bot said that they could have their free flights, and they lost a couple $1 million doing that. But data privacy, compliance, especially if we're talking about like regulated industries. And you need to also make sure that you also have a contingency in some cases, depending upon your use case, to kind of plan for human handoffs, so that making sure that your users are never stuck, or if it can't handle a complex query, for instance. And then lastly, just making sure you can integrate these bots into existing systems smoothly. That's critical without kind of a bunch of robust back-end integrations. You don't want this to take on a life of its own and the tech become the center of the universe. What I love about the example that Connor provided, for instance, you can see that we weren't really talking so much about the AI, we were talking about the process. If you're in sales, that's the center of the universe right there. If you have a good platform where you can take into account privacy and things like that, this should just be to complement what the goal is. In this case, it's to increase sales or leads or whatever the goal is. But we just have to make sure that we do that in a safe way. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
Connor, if you can maybe talk to us a little bit about what you see when you're speaking to your clients and maybe they bring up these questions, maybe they have some concerns. What do you see there?
The Air Canada example, it's close to home, right? Because I can see the limits of where it is, and I want to make sure it is 100% consistent and not going to hurt somebody's business or really hurt the customer or anything like that. And so far has not been any issues with the way that we've set it up. And the reason for that is because we understand the technology where it's at right now, and we know I don't want this thing handling a whole bunch of different packages and trying to diagnose which package should go to which person. And no, I want it to be a targeted handoff. I'm very deliberate about when the human comes in. Hey, this is your job is not to go work with Instagram collaborators, for example. I found that out. It was trying to set up Instagram collaborations and stuff. No, if anybody is a solicitor, they're an Instagram collaborator, you're going to have to refer them to this email address, and then we test the crap out of it. It's like everything in a way is a little bit of an edge case handling. So unlike, I think, traditional software development or some of this stuff, a lot of this is just edge case work. You have to really put it out there and put it to the test and then start handling these scenarios. And you want to do that in a controlled environment. And so I've got like a chatbot on my account. It's all, hey, I'm going to test it here and we're just going to berate it with questions before we deploy it on a customer account or something like that. And then just a funny story as we talk about edge cases a little bit and why they're a little dangerous in some ways. I recently had an experience where my chatbot had I'll say it, a 48-hour, 230,000 chat with another chatbot. Very expensive mistake. So it was talking to another chatbot, 238,000 messages back and forth. At that point, Facebook and Instagram, they do not actually have that data. I had to back calculate it from my bill that I got. So little word of warning there. And the reason that happened is, one, it's an edge case, but the reason it happened was because on these platforms, you're not allowed to necessarily do it outbound. Like the chatbot can't autonomously go contact random people. That's against their terms of service. And so as I built it out, okay, great. I don't have to worry about that case. Not true, because the one chatbot that is allowed to do it is Meta's chatbot, or the people who own Facebook and Instagram. And they're out there trying to pitch their own chatbot to you. And so their chatbot, Meta's chatbot, and my chatbot had a massive conversation. And you know what they talked about? They talked about travel, where they wish they could travel to. Very strange.
If I was trapped somewhere, I think that would be the conversation that was having. If I could get out of here, where could I go?
Yes.
Let me give you another example here. We had a chatbot, largest college in the country. We said, hey, we need to make sure that we take into account data privacy, so only internal folks would have access, no external access, trying to make sure that we're nice and safe. What happened was everybody came in to do performance evaluations, and they used the chatbot to do the performance evaluation. And then next thing we come back around and they start putting in people's names, and things from the performance evaluation started showing up in the responses that were coming back. So that was a fail. It was all internal, but you could literally go through and you can pick up everybody's performance evaluations. So that was when we had to go back to the drawing board and say, hey, we need some finer lines around this.
Matty, do you have anything else?
It sounds really cool, but it also sounds pretty daunting. How do you learn about this? Because you can't go to Dr. Lee's class and learn about chatbots today. Maybe in the near future, I'm pretty sure. But where does somebody learn about this? Connor, where did you learn about this? Because I know you didn't learn in university.
Yeah, I cut my teeth on the original ChatGPT when it came out. Going back to that story, really playing with new technologies. You have to put yourself out there and give things a try. Understand its limits on your own, but I would say resources like podcasts like this, YouTube, folks who are working on the edge, like who have made the mistakes already and learned how to handle them, that's a great place to start. And Really, I think if you're making some business critical decision, in the case of the clients we're working with, this chatbot is literally in their funnel. It is a core function of their business, how they get customers. I would say you're going to lean on an expert who is already understanding the technology. It's not something I would recommend just, hey, let me just do this for my business right away. I do think it's important to play around with the technology, but maybe you're going to have to hire an expert if it's something like that.
So YouTube University is what I'm hearing?
YouTube University is where I've learned it, but it's not, I'll say it's a lot better than you think. So when we say YouTube University, it's not meant to be like, oh, it's just go out there and do your own thing. There's not a lot of information out there in the first place that's structured. So if you do this research, you'll be ahead of everybody. If you just keep up with this, you'll be ahead of people who've been working in the field for years and years. I've been with massive enterprise IT departments. And I had this thought in my head, like, oh, everybody, they're like, they understand like what's happening. I want to ask this question. Nope, not at all. I think everybody's way more specialized than you think they are. And if you want to get into AI, you got to start diving into AI on your own. It's something, hard to do, hard to find.
I think everybody here on the call is a YouTube University student.
I have a couple of degrees. For sure.
Yeah. I watch about 20 to 30 hours a week, primarily in the morning when I'm eating my breakfast. And then while I'm coding or whatever, I always have my YouTube on my iPad next to me. I'm sure you guys, Chris, I know you are.
Oh, man. Like I said, I have a couple of degrees from YouTube University. But with that being said, and it's a little bit sad, but we're coming a little bit towards the end of the podcast. But one of the things that I want to do now, switch a little bit into a fun segment. Not that this conversation was not fun. It was just educational. I loved it. All of you guys brought your A games today for sure. But I want to pose this question. What are you guys excited? And AI changes every single week. New things come out every single week. It's the new tool. This model got released. But this week, what are you guys excited about AI this week? Maybe we can start off with Dr. Lee. Maybe you can talk to us a little bit. What's exciting you this week about AI?
Two things. So first of all, I have finally started to appreciate the value of what we're going to call the agentic framework. So everybody's familiar with ChatGPT. You pose a question, it gives you a response. Now you pose a question, that question goes to a GPT. That GPT can create 5 to 10 to 20 GPTs, and they all work together simultaneously to solve a problem. So I understood it in theory before, but now I can finally start to wrap my brain around some of the use cases that can come out of that. How windsurf actually works under the covers. How you can start to build full-fledged applications. How, as Connor is explaining, how the sales process works. Instead of having a GPT chatbot, how we can have multiple GPTs working together and even 10x what we have already there. I think that's coming in the near future. But I'm finally able to see how this can be applied. And the other thing, Chris, is Hume AI, learning how to add extreme emotional intelligence, deep emotional intelligence to these GPTs so that they can pick up subtle nuanced cues, right? Sadness, and they can adjust automatically so that your conversations can feel even more natural. I could go on, but we're approaching the end, but I'm always excited about something. There's always something new.
Those are really two good ones. Matty, what about you?
I'm super excited about spatial intelligence. Right now, we have a lot of understanding words and online data, but now the robots and everything else are coming out to the real world. So multimodality and how the robots will get to see the world. And it's such a really fun new dimension that we're coming into. And it's going to help with everything. Autonomous cars, autonomous drones, planes, cars, automobiles, everything.
Love that. Connor, what about you?
If I can't say chatbots, all right, yeah. It actually still is chatbots, by the way. Instead of everything being inbound, I've talked only about inbound stuff today. Outbound is what I'm most excited about for a couple of reasons. And outbound, when I say outbound, I'm talking about reaching out to cold audience who don't know you with AI, having that be a personalized experience. But the reason that's important is you're connecting everything. Like I want every single aspect of this process, the outbound, the inbound, to all come together in this way that makes the small to medium sized business owner, gives them clarity. As somebody who's an entrepreneur themselves, I can tell you it's scary out there. What am I supposed to track? What am I supposed to measure? and seeing how you can have these bots like collect the data for you and tell you exactly what's going on when you send these emails and when you get these emails and categorizing them all in a comprehensive way. I think that's going to be really exciting. It's going to change the landscape. There's going to be, I think, what is it, Sam Altman or somebody said, there's somebody out there, one person, $1 billion company. It's on the horizon. These small to medium-sized businesses are going to get hungry, and they're going to get really lean and aggressive, and they're going to be using AI, and I want to be there for it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's an awesome future, and I think a future that everybody wants. For myself this week, not necessarily something that I'm excited, but some people that I'm excited for, and are the people at Windsurf with their $3 billion and OpenAI possibly buying them and being able to integrate them into their systems. I'm so excited for companies like that. I'm so excited for even having the chance to create a company and for somebody to acquire you for that much. I'm so excited for those guys. They really have built a really great product. I know we all use it here for sure, and we all love it. So I'm super excited for them. I can't wait to see and continue to see companies that come up like that and that get those evaluations for sure. I'm very excited for that. We've come to an end, but any final words that you guys want to say maybe to the listeners? If you guys can leave them with a little something, what would you guys would want to say?
Come find me on manychatbots.com.
Boom. There
I'll
we
help
go.
you. I'll help you build
All
a
those
chatbot.
links are going to be down,
Yeah.
down in the description, down in our captions. They're going to be there. So for sure, you're going to be able to find Connor there. Dr. Lee?
I just want to encourage everybody to keep going. This is reachable. This is attainable. Keep watching our podcasts and just keep your confidence.
Boom. Matty?
Definitely never too late to start. The first day of the rest of your life is today. Learn it now because it's not going anywhere. It's never going to get dumber. It's only going to get smarter.
I love that. And I think that we should just end it with that. So thank you guys so much for coming to the first episode of AI Made Simple podcast. We love being here. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Later, guys.